Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning back, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. I greatly appreciate it. This is the forecast for the month of December 2020 for the sign of Pisces. So if you have a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Pisces, you may want to watch this video, or if you have heavily placed planets in the sign of Pisces, you may want to watch this. What I mean by heavily placed planets would probably be like 3 or more in a certain sign. If you're watching on behalf of a Pisces, that's completely acceptable. I appreciate that. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button and leave any questions or comments if you feel so inclined. Please subscribe to the channel. And these are broad spectrum readings intended for quite a few people. So if they feel sort of loose or don't make a lot of sense, that's a possibility. That doesn't mean anything's wrong or bad. It just might mean you might be working on something different, or other planets that you have in your astrology might be playing a bigger hand in your month. What else? If you make any decisions after having watched this video in your personal life, those decisions are your responsibility. So keeping that in mind. Do not take anything I say over the professional advice of any sort of person that's a professional in their field, i.e. a lawyer, a doctor, a therapist. Those things should always be heeded first and foremost. So use your highest intelligence and intuition when watching these videos. They're here to empower you and help you and support you. They're not going to necessarily make decisions for you, okay? This is, like I said, the forecast for 2020. The first deck, the first card is the signifier card or the guide card for the month. This is kind of the card that sort of lets us know what we maybe can potentially create, what we need to focus on, what the theme might be for the month, where the possibility lies for the Pisces. So let's see. And by the way, you guys, I love you. I myself am a Pisces. I have 3 planets in Pisces, so I'm a heavily placed Pisces, as they say. Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Lorraine. I am well. I hope you're well too. My Venus and my sun sign is Pisces. My Venus is in Pisces, and my Mercury is in Pisces. So I got quite a few Pisces working. All right, let's see. What do Pisces need to know for 2020? I mean for December 2020. Okay. All right. Autumn. Release the old and rest. One of the other signs had this. I can't remember which one it was. I love crows, so I love that this shows up for us. Crow is always representational of the law. To me, with the other sign that this was in, which I don't remember which sign had this, I couldn't remember if we are actually still in autumn or if we've actually technically hit winter yet. But I like that this kind of coincides with that. Release the old and rest. It kind of brings me to this place of the 4 of Swords energy, which I don't want to call out that card from the deck while I shuffle, but it has that kind of a vibe to it. There might be a temporary wait that's happening for the Pisces. Now might be, it's been a rough year, let's just face it. And emotionally, we know that Pisces feel all of that, everything that they go through. So I love that the sun is beaming in while I'm doing this reading. Leave it to the Pisces to get the sunbeams going. So, we've had a rough year. So maybe, and I'm not just talking about personally, but also I feel like Pisces sometimes feel the emotions of everybody collectively. We tend to be the sensitive Sallies, and that's okay. That's the beauty of who we are. But it can also make for a bit of a rougher ride. And so when I feel like this is sort of that dwindling down, letting things kind of ramp down in a way and sort of put things on autopilot for a minute for the month. I love that we have the crow here. Crow is representational to me in another deck. It represents law, the medicine of law. And so crow knows how to kind of fly through both realms and knows how to sort of maintain not only the laws of spirit, but also, in conjunction with the material laws of the material 3D world. So we might find as we're resting, we might get information through our dreams, through our, meditations, But this is about rejuvenating ourselves, bringing ourselves maybe into the further reaches of, because this is the autumn card, the further reaches of winter. It may get quieter for us as we lead into 2021. I know Pisces season is coming soon, but we also have these moons here, which I love, which speaks to that idea of that rest and getting in with the subconscious, going deeper a little bit, and really kind of maybe filling ourselves back up, be it spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. Now's the time to do that, Pisces, okay? So let's see what's going on. Are you over emotional, Lorraine? I get that way too. It's okay. It's partly our magic though, that's the thing. So this first card is the center card. It tells me where the Pisces are going to be centered at most of the month. It's not like permanent, right? It kind of, this card can change throughout the month, but it gives me insight into kind of where you guys are going to be resonating from, the majority of you, and what you could potentially be creating for the future. So let's see. Okay. We've got the Fool card. This is Aquarian energy, but this is all about new beginnings. This is about, to me, when I look at this 0 and then I think about release the old and rest, releasing the old opens the newness of the Fool, right? But resting is also the 0 aspect of the Fool. The Fool being the first card of the major arcana, but yet it's number 0, to me speaks to this idea of boiling it back down to 0, right? Bringing ourselves back to square one, going back to the drawing board in a way. Not stressing ourselves out in any sort of way. There's an exuberance and an excitement to the Fool that we want to keep. There's like sort of a detachment also to the Fool, I feel like, where, you know, you want to have, like, entertain the possibilities, but not be attached to too much of any one thing, right? I think that as we roll into 2021, things are going to get further defined for us because we've still got January, February, and then that's when we hit Pisces season. So our energy will probably pick back up by that point. So right now, this Fool speaks to the idea that there is power around us even in the rest, right? The Fool is major arcana, so he's got an extra pack, a punch, an extra oomph to him. And this being our center, I think when we take that moment to sort of downshift into this rest mode and really reflect upon maybe the year that we've had, kind of process out, you know, releasing the old and processing out what doesn't work for us, it opens ourselves up to new opportunities in very big ways that we may not see right immediately, right? That's this Fool card as our center. We're opening up the door and the excitement to new beginnings that are going to come to pass probably in the near future, okay? So if there's not a whole lot of definition on stuff, if stuff feels a little bit undefined, I would say that's completely fine because we don't want to be too attached to any one thing right now. If we're supposed to be kind of, you know, going through the past, releasing that and letting it go and starting a new cycle with the year. All right, the next card is what I call the outside, or not outside influences, sorry, the foundation card. This card is what took place in the past that has sort of laid the foundation for everything to be the way that it is today. So this card can not only represent the past, but it also tells me a little bit about sort of what could potentially be holding things in place, like the memory of this card, or this card could be driving things forward in the now, right? So we want to be aware of what this is in the background. So this is the Eight of Pentacles, not the Ace of Pentacles. So to me, eights are about balance. Pentacles is an earth energy, which is complementary to Pisces, so I like that. It's very grounded. The Eight of Pentacles is usually about sort of kind of paying attention to details and making, really creating our work, putting our efforts into things. I would think this would be about maybe a focus on stability in our home life, in our work life, in our relationships life, wherever it fits in our material world, wherever we were kind of looking at things and going, okay, this is how I want it. This is what I need. This is sort of like the driving force behind it. This to me is a very like good, solid card to be driving ourselves forward into 2021. I feel like there is some like an attention to detail and a focus on maybe productivity that will be coming. Maybe it's something that we desired. Maybe it's more money. Maybe it's a more solid sort of set of friends, or whatever it is that we want that kind of is grounded in this earth energy. We will be able to go about it, and this being the kind of the balancing force or the driving force behind it, the memory of this is what's pushing us forward in this releasing the old and rest. I like this. This feels like a great card to rest upon, right? We have these 8 pentacles lined up. So to me, it feels like the foundation is strong, steady, stable. Now is the time to kind of relax into the next month and let sort of like the newness and the opportunities of the Fool unfold. I kind of get this real vibe, like it's not, don't sweat the small stuff. As I'm saying that, I feel like next year is going to surprise some of us. And I don't know if that's for me or for you guys, but I really feel that all of a sudden as I'm looking at these cards. Like, we need to rest on the fact that this 8 of Pentacles, whatever we've planned for or whatever we've been looking at, I kind of feel like it's based in a really firm foundation is the best way I can describe it. Like, it feels like the feeling I'm getting is safe. So no worries, even if the Fool feels a bit unknown, just relax, Pisces. Just let things sort of find their way out or figure their way out. And I'm not talking about just our personal world. I'm also talking about if we're focusing too much on the outside world or the world of our loved ones and we're worried about them, letting some of that also go and knowing that all of that stuff will be restored back to balance. That's this 8 of Pentacles too, is that balance will kind of come back to the world, I feel like. I don't know why that's a bigger message than just the Pisces, but I like this. All right, so let's go to the Spirit of Soul card and see what the Spirit of Soul wants us to work on during this month. Okay, true on Pisces energy. We've got the Hangman. This card is represented by Pisces. So when we're talking about releasing the old and resting, when we look at the image of this guy, he's tied up in the tree. And we see that he can always kind of reach over here and pull himself and let himself out of the tree. But Pisces has to make that sort of decision. And Pisces is really known for indecision. We have a problem with kind of, well, I don't know that it's a problem necessarily. Like, everything has its positives and its negatives. But with Pisces, it being the 12th sign, the belief is that we've kind of reincarnated through all of the other signs. So we have a really good understanding of and empathy for others and their situations. And so sometimes we can present ourselves with one too many options, right? Or think things through in one too many directions and kind of come to this place of indecision. And I feel that that's why the Hangman represents us, right? Is because we get caught up in our thoughts or in our emotions. We can't necessarily feel as though we can make a clear decision. But with the Hanged Man, it's always this opportunity to kind of realize that we can free ourselves at any given time that we want. And there's this strong, again, another strong moon influence behind this Hanged Man. So to me, I feel like once we let ourselves off the hook, and that could be through releasing the old and resting this month, there's some sort of knowledge, there's some sort of awareness, there's some sort of freedom that we will open ourselves up to. And that Fool is also kind of there trying to help us get out of this Hangman scenario. I like that the Fool and the Hangman are working together, if that makes any sense. The Fool is open-minded and willing to help, and kind of there's an optimism to him. So it says to me, Pisces, keep your optimism high. Anything that might be going on in the deeper self, in the subconscious, where we're worrying, where we're overthinking, where we've been stuck, we want to release that. We want to rest. We want to allow ourselves down out of the tree. We don't have to like weigh everything from every option, which I know that's a very common Pisces trait. Geminis do that too. The only two dualities of the zodiac, we kind of can see things from multiple avenues right quick and get like sort of confused by it. So I feel like the Hanged Man always represents this opportunity to kind of realize where we've hung ourselves up and where we can release ourselves or where we can free ourselves, and the knowledge that comes with that, the awareness that comes with that, and the power that comes with that. So also the Hanged Man can very traditionally realize, align itself with the idea of just waiting, like being in a holding pattern. And so the Spirit showing this card as Pisces, as the Hangman coming into the Spirit position, says there's just a very simple message here that, you know, Spirit's saying just chill out, just relax here, right? Even if you feel like you might be tying things up or not making a lot of headway, don't worry. That 8 of Pentacles is still driving the energy of this. The goals that we set earlier in the year, or whatever that we were looking at, that we wanted to change and bring about stability and balance in our lives, we can have that. We just need to like relax right now, let go of the stuff that felt out of whack or whatever, and it will come in due course, okay? The Fool is very undefined yet. It's the newness of the Fool that I think might be throwing us off, and then feeling like we maybe aren't doing enough in the month of December. That would be this Hangman energy. But when the time is right, we will release ourselves. This is our card. This is Pisces. We will have the knowledge and the awareness of, oh, now it's time to move forward. All right. And I also think that the major arcanas of the Spirit and the center, to me, speak to when we are ready to move forward, it will be big and obvious, right? It's not like something more subtle, because we've got major arcana cards at play in these two roles. It will also probably have a significant shift in our lives, right? When we do decide to move forward, when the path does open up, we're going to be excited about it, and it's going to be exciting and powerful, that kind of thing. Maybe, I don't want to say life-changing, but usually major arcanas are bigger lessons, right? Or bigger opportunities, let's say that. The next two cards are what I call the outside influences. These are things that could be affecting us either positively or negatively during the month. They can sometimes be people, events, or things more vague like belief systems or energies that don't belong to us, but we've maybe adopted or we've been taught and we're utilizing them. We just need to be aware of them. So let's see. Okay. We've got the Tower. Tower is, I believe, Aries energy, which is interesting to me because I'm a Pisces rising with an Aquarius moon and an Aries, Pisces sun, Aquarius moon, Aries rising. I believe Tower is associated with Aries, but Tower is usually about the rug being pulled out from under us. So I'm going to say this, Pisces, be ready for anything this month. The Tower can represent, how do I want to say this? The Tower is usually a fairly unwelcome card in the deck. The three cards that people usually get the most freaked out by are the Tower, Death, and the Devil. The Tower to me is about sort of God doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Like something that we thought was going to be maybe around for a lot longer, is no longer available to us, accessible to us, or is falling apart, right? It's built on a shitty foundation, let's just put it bluntly. And its time has come to pass. It's time to go. It's interesting to me in this Tower state, he's hanging upside down, similar to the Hanged Man. If we look at that, we've got double, like sort of hangout bat party. Like there's just both hanging upside down. So there is this kind of, it's funny to me because I feel like this Hanged Man, even though this is in the spirit space, feels almost in line with the Tower. Does that make sense? So our spirit might know and be preparing us for what might be coming. Now, usually Tower events are fairly large. They are major arcana. They can be unsettling and they can be difficult. But I will say this, my experience with Tower is that the more grace we have to sort of ease into it and lean into it and let it transform and change instead of fighting it, resisting it, and trying to hold on too strongly, we suffer less, right? We actually move through it. And Pisces being a mutable sign, we have the flexibility and the ability to kind of adapt and move through things that other people might be more reluctant or have a harder time with. So I don't want to freak my Pisces out, but this Tower could be coming our way. It could be some disruption, some unsettling event, something that falls away from us that we weren't necessarily expecting, or that we didn't necessarily see coming. But ultimately also Tower moments usually are there to show us what is not working, even if we were unaware of it, right? So if the foundation is sketchy, if the job isn't quite right, if the boyfriend isn't quite fulfilling it, living up to what we need, those things could fall away, right? So if they fall away, allow them to. That's also the Hanged Man, where we might feel a little bit tied or unable to change it or do anything about it, and that's okay. We want to, because the Fool in the center, right? That card in the center speaks to the idea that the new beginning needs to begin. The new beginning needs to be had. Whatever the desire was in the past through that Eight of Pentacles, whatever sort of hard work and attention to detail that we put on things, it's beginning to happen, right? And I feel like there's a shift taking place here. Hence why this autumn card says, let's release the old and rest. The old is the tower. That's what we need to release. That's whatever is shifting in that tower moment during the month of December, let it shift, let it go. Don't fight it. Don't struggle to hold on to it. Don't be in fear. Understand that when the time is right, you will be able to release yourself from that hangman space. I almost feel like it's like spirit holding you back, or your own spirit, your own higher self holding you back, going, no, let it go. Just let it go. We got something new coming through the Fool. Let it go. All right. The next card and the other outside influence, got it. Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords obviously is a woman because it's a queen. It doesn't have to be a woman, but usually it's depicted as a woman of the air sign variety. Libra, Aquarius, or I'm drawing a blank. Gemini. Okay, the other duality. I was just mentioning that. Queen of Swords can be somebody that's very analytical, very decisive, somebody that values logic over anything else, not over emotions. This could be a situation where if it's not a particular person that's having an influence or here to assist us during a time where we might feel a little bit tossed around, that's kind of the tower feeling. If we're feeling a little bit like unnerved and we need assistance from outside of ourselves, we do have this sort of analytical presence represented in the Queen of Swords. Now, queens are going to be cups energy underneath the swords energy, right? So we have a little bit of that intuition, a little bit of that emotion. But the Queen of Swords is always going to lead with logic, with analysis, with knowledge, fact, science, those sort of things first and foremost. She's going to be decisive in her thinking. She's going to be clear cut, black or white. For some of us, this could be a boss, a mother, whoever it is that's coming in to kind of support us. She's going to try and keep us on the straight and narrow is kind of the vibe that I'm getting. But the interesting thing is that Fool in the center where we're at, which feels a little bit antithesis to what the Queen of Swords represents. I hope this is making sense to you guys. There might be a little bit of a difficulty in communication there for those of you that are looking to, say, an outside person for help. Now, this Queen of Swords could be an energy also, if it's not a specific outside person, it could be situations, i.e. this tower, that require us to get more into analysis, logic, less emotion, less like freaking out and standing strong. We still have that queen aspect of the emotions, right? The cups aspect of the queen of this card. But we also have the intellect, the analytical, clear-cutting, releasing the old, right? That would definitely be a Queen of Swords activity. She just cuts it loose with her sword. She doesn't have time for it if it doesn't make sense to her. So what I'm saying is that there could be opportunities where we have to be decisive, where we have to be we may have, because we're Pisces, we might have a little bit of emotion involved in our decisions, but we cannot rely solely on our empathic, emotive, intuitive stuff, especially maybe say during this tower moment, right? And that's where this queen, she could be in energy or situations that come at us where we have to be decisive and like, nope, that doesn't work for me. And the Fool, to me, is open to trying new things, right? So the new things could be working with our intellect versus our emotions, right? Let me see here. I just feel like whatever she represents, just being really precise, really clear, and in an effort, as I'm going to say this, in an effort to make that clear, concise cut or that decision, or not entertaining the emotions of certain things as we're maybe going through our December, and just kind of being very analytical and smart about what it is that we do, that also provides us this opportunity to sort of hopefully rest from any sort of changes and things that are happening for us. I would say that this is a fairly significant month, just with 3 major arcanas playing out and the queen hanging out in our background or as an outside influence. I feel like precision is going to be key this month. how we act, how we think, what we choose to do, what we allow to lead us this month is going to be important. The feeling that I get from this, because this tower moment could be looming for some of my Pisces, we don't necessarily want to be too emotional this month. It's just gonna like convolute, complicate, distress us, and it's not worth it. So don't, just let it go, kind of is the feeling that I'm getting. Now, this last card is the potential outcomes card, right? So this card tells me a bit about sort of where things could potentially end up for the majority of the Pisces that are watching this. It's not set in stone though. So we have free will, right? We have choice and free will. If this card is negative, we can use it as a warning to start making choices and changes to affect this outcome. But if it is a positive card, we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally heading towards it with things standing the way that they are. So this is the Six of Swords. So Six of Swords, swords is the element of air, which is interesting to me because we have that Queen of Swords on the other side of us. The Six of Swords, I believe, is sort of like, let me just double check, because in this, it's a different, it says future uncertainty. I felt like the Six of Swords is like moving on to calmer waters, but I could be wrong about that. Oh, it says travel to new destinations, the unknown. Well, I feel like, all right, so let me see here. I feel like when I see that future uncertainty, the Fool would dictate that future uncertainty. Also, the Tower would dictate that future uncertainty. But I feel like the Swords energy at the end of the month is about the Queen trying to help us. So whether that Queen is an outside person or that Queen is our own personal awareness, right, where we have to be more decisive, it brings us to this state at the end of the month of the Six of Swords, which I feel like is relatively stable. It's not like the worst card. It's not like a Nine of Swords or even a Seven of Swords where we feel like we're being cheated or anything like that. It's more about kind of maintaining stable mental state, and that might be due to the loss of the Tower, the feeling of being hung up in the Hanged Man, or any sort of indecision that might be happening to us during this month. I really think that when I look at all of these cards together, it feels like Pisces is going to be their role this month, or what they want to be doing is remaining open, right? That would be the Fool energy in the center. Staying impartial, I kind of feel like, would be the Hanged Man energy, especially if anything sort of big happens, right, via the Tower. And also staying very analytical, staying very practical, or turning to, maybe paying attention to some of those that are analytical or practical and advice that they may be giving you during a situation that might be transforming in front of your very eyes. I don't feel like the outcome to this is bad, only because I feel like that Eight of Pentacles actually feels like a really good card underneath all of this. So I feel like in an effort to get ourselves somewhere more stable, we're actually working our way there through the month of December. We just need to trust that. So this could be a little bit of a, how do I want to say, like transitionary month for us as we move into 2021. The Six of Swords to me feels, yes, it's uncertain, but we also have that Fool in the center. So that also is like an uncertainty thing in a positive way, where it's a new beginning, right? So I don't see that as a bad thing. It's just sort of like whatever's changing for us in that Tower moment, we need to almost embrace the uncertainty. That's also the Fool too, is that the Fool's energy is about being excited and optimistic even in the unknowing. But it's this fine line of not being so naive that we run the risk of putting ourselves in danger, right? And I think that that's where the Queen of Swords energy comes in. So as we are open and kind of experiencing everything through the eyes of the Fool, we also want to keep that backup awareness that the Queen of Swords brings, because she's going to help us through the Tower. And by the time we get to the end of the month, if we're dealing with the aftermath of the wreckage of whatever the Tower was, right? It's always for our betterment, the Tower, right? It's always showing us what is not working in our lives. So take heart in that, and that leads us to the Six of Swords energy, where we still might be uncertain about what comes next in this space that has been changed or transformed. But, and like I said, the space will be different things for different Pisces, right? Some of you, it could be a job. Some of you, it could be a relationship. Some of you, it could be family relationships. It could be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So you have to figure out where this tower, where this transformation or this shift is happening, where you didn't expect it. You didn't sort of see it coming. But remember, it's always something that is for our highest good ultimately. And the faster we ease into it, the less painful it has to be. The more analytical and methodical or logic-based we are, the easier it's going to become to move forward. And the Six of Swords to me feels like forward movement. It's just uncertain what's coming next. But that to me is also kind of exciting. And that's part of the Fool's journey. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, you guys. I do love that our sign is also up in our spirit space with the Hanged Man. So I feel like we are, it's almost like this is sort of set in the stars is the feeling that I'm getting for the Pisces. I don't know why I'm hearing that, but it sort of feels like that with that Pisces card up in the soul space. It just speaks to the idea that this was something that was predetermined. Like if some of us are going to suffer some sort of significant, change, which would be the Tower, this was, I get this weird feeling that it was predetermined a while ago. Even the Fool in the center there with that 0 speaks to that idea of that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, you guys. It just sort of feels like, honestly, I almost feel like there's a reset going on. Like it's Pisces reset. That's that 0 in the center of this whole reading. All right. I hope that makes sense, you guys. It'll be interesting to see how this month plays out for each and every one of you. Please come back and leave me a comment and let me know. I look forward to see you guys next year, actually. The yearlies for 2021 will be coming out this month in December. I'm going to put up a unboxing for the deck that we'll be using for the monthlies and the yearly one for 2021. So we'll get a little perspective there as to what things look like for the next 12 months. And then each month we'll look at the Pisces readings throughout 2021, and we'll see how this plays out. I get a feeling that there's something big in all of this. There's some like big shift and change that we wanted for a while and we didn't realize it. That's that Fool in the center. It's like almost like we didn't know that we created this. Weird. Okay. That's what I thought, Lorraine. Thank you. I thought it was moving on to calmer waters. But see, in this one, isn't the Six of Swords the one where they're on the boat? That's what the one I have in my mind is the boat one where they're drifting away on the boat like they're going. Am I wrong about that? Because I kind of thought that the Six of Swords was about moving to a better place. And in this deck, it says future uncertainty. What does it say? Because the images in this deck are not necessarily traditional to the tarot that I work with. It says future uncertainty, the unknown, and travel to new destinations is what it says in this book for the Six of Swords. So I always thought it was like kind of a moving to calmer waters, getting to a better place. And sixes, even numbers to me always represent that kind of like relaxed state where we can kind of, it's an even number. 4s are stability, 8s are balance, 6 is kind of after the change of the 5, before the conscious choice of the 7. Yes, the boat and the people. That's what I thought. So I see this as moving on to calmer state after the Tower. So I kind of also feel like that Queen of Swords, whether that's us internally with our own mind in situations where we're required to rely upon our mind over our emotions, it's going to lead us to the Six of Swords energy, which is a stable mental state after whatever changes have come about in the Tower. So I feel like this is that's where I feel like it's a transition for us. And that's why it's important to release the old and rest. Rest. In the sense that something is coming. I get this feeling with the Hangman and the Fool and even the Tower that like when things fall apart, usually something new is going to be built there at some point, right? And that's the excitement of the Tower. Ultimately, like when we ease into it, we allow the change to take place. It usually brings about something that's better suited to us anyways. And we look back in hindsight and understand why we had to face what we did in the past. So I see this as a good thing. And the fact that we have 3 major arcana at place, even though this is a transitional month, what these cards, I don't know why, but the feeling I get deep in my gut is what these cards are up to, we don't see coming yet. Like, that's my vibe. With the Fool, with the Hanged Man, and with the Tower, it's all like, it looks like it's one thing, but it's actually leading us to another that we don't fully see yet. So just be smart about it. Channel that Queen of Swords, get yourself to that 6 of Swords by month's end, and it's going to unfold and make, and that 8 of Pentacles too also speaks to this idea of we're heading towards something more stable. We wanted, somewhere in the past, we started this shift of desiring something more stable, and that attention to detail or whatever it was that we started working on back there kind of maybe almost shook the foundations of whatever our tower that's crumbling down now is. Sense. So I hope that offers you guys guidance. It's not something to fear, certainly. It's actually something to be excited about. I just don't know what it is, but I can feel like it's coming. Moving on to calmer shores. That's what I thought too, Lorraine. I felt a change today. I knew I had to wait. LOL. I wanted to make a decision, but for some reason, Spirit is like, you need to wait. That's the Hangman, and that's our Pisces energy kicking up there in our spirit space. And that, to me, feels very much in alignment. It actually feels like a good thing. Like, it feels like when the time is right, we will know when to sort of release whatever this Tower thing is, let it go, be logical about it, be smart about it, be decisive about it, and boom, let it go. And when you let it go, it's just going to lead you to that 6 of Swords where, you know, things are repairing themselves, getting back to normal, and we get on to the next thing, which is something that Fool's got brewing that we don't even know about yet. Good, Lorraine. Keep manifesting, dear. Thank you for tuning in and sitting with me through this whole thing. Sorry it took me so long to get this reading out, but I'm going to be back to do Cancer in a moment. And again, for those of you that are watching later on this broadcast, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you feel so inclined if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, please go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and vice versa. If you're watching on YouTube, please go over and follow my business page on Facebook. If you're interested in a private reading, you can certainly contact me via the Facebook business page, and I can answer any questions you may have there. Those are done over Facebook video or phone call through Facebook Messenger, and they're really easy to book, so I can explain that to you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys in 2021 and seeing what goes on with the collective for Pisces, guys. It's all divine timing, exactly. Awesome, Lorraine. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us. All right, you guys, I will sign off for a minute, clear out my space, and I will be back to do Cancer next, and then Scorpio, and then I will do the unboxing for the new deck that we're going to be using, which is going to be, this is what won on the Patreon poll. So this will be our deck going forward for next year, is the Tarot of Pagan Cats. So I'll do a separate video for that. It's another mini deck. I put 3 different mini decks up, and this is the one that won the poll. So we're going to be working with cats for all of the monthlies and the yearly for 2021. All right, you guys, have a great day. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.